glad that, like, for the first little bit there, literally nobody could hear what you were saying, and it was just me. So, how's come whenever we do this remote, especially, there's always a fuck up? When, like, you would think there wouldn't be, because I do this... Whatever, dude.
Well...
So pretty much what we're talking about is you could hear me talking about how I was happy, and we were, like, congratulating the Buddy Boys on their awesomeness of, you know...
Oh, I wasn't. That wasn't a technical difficulty. I just didn't want to say anything.
Well, I mean, yeah, true.
Well,
that's why I said I was. I was like, good job, guys, and Matt was just like...
I will never say thanks.
Matt's like, it's not thanks if you just deserve it. You're like, this entertainment isn't free. Start subscribing, you lazy fucks. I'm like, holy shit. You're like, fucking please me. No, seriously, yeah. So I guess I'm glad that I fucking figured that shit out. So I saved the podcast from myself this time, unlike that one time when Kevin saved it. Because the audio was, like, not on. It was, like, not plugged in or something. Kevin's like, can't hear anything. And I was like, oh my god, dude. So far, we haven't had a lost episode yet. Thank God. From what I can remember. It will, yeah, it will. Every podcast has a lost episode. You just don't know about it. Unless it's funny. Then they talk about it. But yeah, that was our big thing before Nerd News. The other thing is, I guess I'm gonna have to eat my own fucking words. And I think you know what this is.
I wasn't gonna say anything. I wasn't gonna say anything.
Why not? I told you I was gonna do it.
All right.
So, last week, as people have, I'm sure everybody watched the last week's podcast, and I said, well, I'll put the clip in here. But, essentially, what I said was nobody buys comics anymore. And, so Matt around...
And Marvel movies are declining.
Yeah, so, Matt sent me this, this thing during the week. Estimated overall North American market size, including both print and digital estimates by Comitron and whatever. It's like ICV2.com. So from 2011 to 2020, they've gone up exponentially every single year. Starting at 715 million to ending in 2020 at 1.28 billion. So, digital sales...
Hold your feet to the fire.
Digital sales, not so much. They actually fluctuate quite a bit. Like, they've gone up and then quite down a lot. But overall, like it says, print and digital, I think print is the big thing. Yeah, people want to collect that stuff. So
I demand facts.
I know
no fake news on this show.
That's not true. Not true.
Not true.
Actually, I don't know about that. What is fake news? Actually, fake news is when the news is not real.
Pretty much anything that's not nerd news is fake news.
That's true.
So, if you just follow nerd news, you'll learn everything you need to know.
Fucking jock news. Fuck that shit.
Jock jams. That's a different story.
Now that's awesome. That's the only jock I want to see. Is one that's jamming. So yeah, I guess now that we've gone over the thanks and the technical difficulty for the week and me groveling because I messed up from last week, let's go on to our first segment that we like to call Nerd News. And I'm not sure if anybody else likes it, but that's what we call it. So
yeah.
So do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first, sir?
I'm pretty pumped about mine.
Okay, so, well, I'll go first then, and then
all right,
maybe
I'm gonna finish strong.
Okay. You're finishing strong. So I had like 3, but I only picked one that wasn't straight up some kind of like who cares news.
Please don't be about Marvel movies or Star Wars, please.
It is not.
Yes.
So this is actually not. This isn't even like a speculative article like we usually do. I had 2 speculative articles, but I was like, you know what? I want to find an actual one. So this one, it really depends on how big of a fan you are of these franchises, Power Rangers or Godzilla. But they're doing a crossover comic next year of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers versus Godzilla. And I was like, you know, it's kind of interesting because I guess they did one recently where it was they've done Batman and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They've done Ghostbusters and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They've done like Godzilla Goes to Hell. They've done like all these different like verses and crossovers, and like this one I guess is the latest in like the IDW like you know, like crossover franchise is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and it's like the original Power Rangers. It's not like I guess like any of the newer ones, but they've got all these different covers of the Power Rangers and like the Zords and stuff like that versus like Godzilla. So I'm not exactly sure how this is gonna go, but I thought it was better than like something like Batman's car was inspired by Stephen King's Christine, or like Penguin was inspired by Fredo from The Godfather. Those were my other 2 articles, and it's like, well, that's literally all you have to say. There's nothing more to say about those articles. Whereas this, it's like if you're a fan of these, it's like this is actual news. So.
How funny would it be if just Godzilla roasts them all like instantly?
Like he talks shit about him.
Yeah.
He's
at
like
a gala event.
He's like, I don't want to see Rita Repulsa as an asshole, but man, you gotta wipe her. I'm like, what? It's like, this is not good. This is not good. A gala
Ladies and gentlemen, this man is for the birds.
It's like, huh? He just flies away. Okay, so like I said, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I'll personally read that, because like I was a fan of Power Rangers back in the day, but I'm not like a fan. I'm not like, I don't hate it, but I'm not like somebody that like goes out of their way to like watch it anymore. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this is like when I was a kid, yeah, but there are people that are like hardcore Power Ranger fans. But I'm not against it. I don't like hate it. It's not like something I think's stupid. But I'm a Godzilla fan, so I might like look at it and see what happens, but I'm assuming what will happen is Godzilla will, like, if it's versus, what will happen, like, all these, they end up, like, teaming up at some point versus the bad guys somehow. So, we'll see. We'll see what kind of Godzilla we get, whether it's, like, the Godzilla that's, like, unrestrained, or it's the Godzilla that's, like, can be reasoned with in some of these.
Gadzuki.
Gadzuki! He's the son. Okay.
Yeah, Power Rangers was the first series where I realized, like, I'm too old for this. Like, it was beneath me.
Yeah.
But Godzilla, on the other hand, also made for
kids.
Small kids I'm still into.
Godzilla's actually way worse than Power Rangers for that.
It is.
It's way worse, because, like, the son of Godzilla is probably, like, the worst film I've ever seen in my life. It was, like... Anyway, so speaking of shit, yeah, hopefully this is not. So what is your nerd news?
All right, so my nerd news, this has to be the stupidest nerd news I've ever seen. Like, I couldn't believe. I think this may be a prank, but there's a headline this week about Steven Spielberg. You hear about this?
A prank? What do you mean?
Not well. This story
is so stupid. What is a prank? I don't understand.
It's so stupid. I can't believe it's even real.
Yeah.
So Steven Spielberg, I guess this may be an anniversary of the Paranormal Activity series. I'm not even sure why this became news, but Steven Spielberg was like a producer on Paranormal Activity back when it came out.
Oh, I had no clue.
Yeah, I don't know if I knew that either, but basically it was, a very small budget movie that was released and made a huge ton of money.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, because anyway, go ahead.
Steven Spielberg. I'll just read.
Yeah, go ahead.
As per the Los Angeles Times, back when this movie was happening and he was producing it, Spielberg faced a rather spooky encounter following the movie's initial screening.
What? Okay.
So he had a DVD screening of the movie at his house, I guess. And after the screening, he was unable to access his own bedroom for no good reason.
What?
The door had been locked from the inside. After ruling out possibilities of a burglary, the filmmaker hired a locksmith to remove the disc from his home and deliver the DVD back to DreamWorks in a garbage bag, believing it was haunted.
What? Wait, hold on. So he hired a locksmith to deliver the disc?
That's what it says.
Why would he hire a locksmith to do that and not unlock his door?
Why would he need a locksmith to unlock his own internal door in his house?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you really wanted to get into a door and it was like locked and you didn't have a key for that door, you could. It's like easy enough to take the door off the hinges. You just.
This was written by slashfilm.com, by the way. To call him out for this stupid story. But basically, Steven Spielberg thought he had a haunted DVD in his house.
Dude, I'm so confused. Like, the whole thing about how, like, he... Yeah.
Locksmith, I need you to deliver this DVD back to DreamWorks. Here's a garbage bag.
Did they ever, like... Like, what'd they do with the DVD? Like, did they
Who
ever...
knows? It's so stupid.
Wait, so what was the DVD of? Like, the movie?
Yeah, the movie. At the initial screener.
Why?
I can't believe that's real.
Yeah, I don't really know what to say. That's like...
We may have to retire Nerd News after this, because that's never going to be topped.
Yeah, I don't...
Dumbest article I've read in a long time.
Yeah, I don't really know what to say, because it's one of those things where, like you were saying, like, why? Like, I don't know, like, I don't really know what to say as far as, like, why would he need, like, I don't know. I don't know if we have enough time, like, to even talk about all the interest, like, all the different things about that. It's like, what the fuck is this guy talking about?
I mean, depending on what kind of lock he had on his door, like, he probably just knocked the lock button. You know, it's not like that's the craziest thing that could ever happen inside someone's house.
Also, why would he jump to, like, the DVD itself is haunted?
This digital video technology has a ghost in it. Woo!
That locked this door. Was the DVD inside the like the room?
Bedroom?
Yeah.
I don't know, but like of all the haunted, like of all the objects you could think of that could become haunted, like a DVD is one of the funniest to think about. Like, oh, my USB dongle is haunted.
Yeah, I don't like.
Usually, it's like an ancient talisman or like a, you know.
Yeah, or like a book that's been around for a while. Relic. Yeah, like something that actually has history,
DVD.
Not something that was
Standard
literally
death.
just burned, like for the purpose of watching this one movie. It's like, huh? so ridiculous.
I know.
If that's seriously true, like, I don't really know what to think anymore about Steven Spielberg, because that's like the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Slashfilm.com, solid reporting.
Oh my god, like, why?
And the Los Angeles Times.
Really?
Yeah.
So it has to be true then, that actually happened to him.
I'm sure Spielberg was probably just like goofing around, or he made like an offhand comment and then someone ran with it.
Yeah.
But
for no good reason, though.
Well, good reason is to be discussed on this show.
True. Yeah, man. I don't know. That's yeah, that is pretty out of control. I don't think we're ever gonna top that. I was like, holy shit. I just like that, like we were saying, like, when his door was locked, the first thing he thought of was that, like, somebody, like he jumped to burglary.
Well, that's what, after ruling out possibilities of a burglary,
right,
the filmmaker hired a locksmith. Like, how did he know it wasn't a burglar if he couldn't even get in the room and see what happened? Like, nothing about this article makes sense.
That and, like, why would he jump from, like, burglary to a ghost?
It's the only other possible
Yeah.
explanation.
He's like, this one door, I didn't lock it, so I think that a burglar locked it. But now that I've ruled that out, it was a ghost. Right, exactly. Somehow he yeah. Like, how did he rule that out? Like, what?
He's like, any burglars in the house?
Yeah, like they didn't like say anything, and he like nothing was missing that he knows of. I mean, it's Steven Spielberg. I'm sure he's got like a ton of shit, and he probably doesn't know where everything is because he's rich. So
they should make a movie about this incident.
Yeah, I would actually go see that.
Yeah.
And then he like does a bunch of backflips like in Austin Powers 3. He's like, I think it's fine the way it is, Austin. And he's like, it just doesn't have any mojo, baby. It's like,
and he directs the spaghetti movie.
Oh my god, dude. I forgot about that. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, I can't believe that. That's awesome, dude. That makes up for all the other bullshit articles we've ever had on the here. That's for damn sure.
So stupid.
I love how you instantly were like, hopefully this isn't about, like a Marvel movie or Star Wars, and I was like, I think we should just ban those. Like, no more articles about Star Wars or fucking, like,
I'm in, dude.
Marvel, or, like, anything like that, because it's hard to find articles, though, that aren't just, like, speculative bullshit. You know what I mean, these days, because a lot of them are like that, where it's like, this is what this person thinks who should or shouldn't play the next Bond, or, like, the next, like, you know, what should be the next Star Wars, and it's like, dude, who gives a shit? Anyway, so let's move on to another scary. Actually, I guess it's not scary. I'm like, after ruling out nerd news, let's go on to
Recommendation Nation.
Oh, that's too
ding,
scary.
Ding, ding, ding.
So, I will go again.
Hold on, I think I hear a burglar in the house.
Okay.
Well, must be a ghost.
Shit. Roll it out, though, first, dude. Come on. I'm like, dun 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 dun. It's like, okay. So, this week I would like to recommend the Johnny Depp and classic Sleepy Hollow.
Nice.
I've always kind of liked this film. It's not like the best film, obviously, but like I've always thought it had that atmosphere, and it's one of those films like when I still kind of liked the stuff Tim Burton was doing before he started doing stuff that I was like, this is just like super not interesting for me, at least. But not, I don't know, like I like the atmosphere of this movie and stuff, but it's essentially like about Ichabod Crane that goes to investigate a series of murders in Sleepy Hollow, and by the mysterious Headless Horseman. And this also, of course, stars Christina Ricci and Christopher Walken as the Hessian soldier or whatever. So, yeah. And there's a bunch of other good people in there, too. So, like, what's his name? I would say Jeffrey Jones, but he's like a child molester, so. Michael Gambon from, like, Harry Potter and, like, a bunch of other, like, huge, like, actors are in this and stuff, like thespians. So, it's a pretty good watch.
Michael Goff, Alfred from the Tim Burton Batmans.
Yeah, for sure, man. But, yeah. But
that's a great recommendation. I think we could probably do an episode on it because I don't know if we really talked about it too much, but
yeah, I don't think we've ever talked about it, honestly.
I really like that movie too. I think it's so close to being like a masterpiece, and there's just a few kind of stupid things in it that bring it down a little bit.
I completely agree with you on like a lot of that, where it's like there are definitely some things about it but you know, we could say that.
But also, yeah, also like Johnny Depp's kind of a joke at this point, but. Like, you could point to him in this movie to someone to be like, this is why everyone loved Johnny Depp, because he's amazing in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
So
I mean, he like, yeah, it's like one of those things where, like, I don't know. Like, I go back and forth on Johnny Depp. Like, sometimes, like, I think that, like, I don't like him in... I mean, it's like, it's mainly, like, the roles he's done. Like, I don't really like him in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Like, I think... Like, he's it's more so like that movie, not so much like it's just he's I don't know. But like obviously like he like is the whole reason anybody ever went to like see like the Pirates of the Caribbean films, a fucking franchise that was built off of a fucking ride at Disney. You know, like fucking probably one of the biggest success stories for like just some random bullshit that they made into like a a franchise. But he's been on other stuff, and I don't know. I feel like his career kind of got like screwed recently, but I don't know. He might be having a comeback. I guess we'll see how that goes. He got like straight up canceled, even though like it came out that like his wife was like beating him too. So it was like kind of one of those things where like I don't know. I guess we won't really go into that because that's like hearsay kind of things. But like, it definitely affected his career because he got like fired off of like a couple movies and stuff like that recently. Yeah. But either like earlier I said the thing about Jeffrey Jones. This isn't speculation. I wasn't trying to like, you know, stir up some controversy. I mean, it's fucking true that he's in jail because of what he did and stuff like that. But I was just saying that like he's been in like awesome stuff, you know, not to take away from like, you know, Deadwood and like Ferris Bueller and like all these other movies, Beetlejuice and stuff, but like yeah, he's fucking in jail because of like child fucking pornography and all this other stuff. So like I said, it wasn't like a thing where I was trying to like completely like I guess make anything up. That's what happened. But anyway, so that's a good movie. Like you said, we're gonna have to like talk about that sometime on the actual podcast. So I'm sure one of us will pick it at one point. So yeah. What do you have to recommendation? Cool. Or recommendation? What do you have to recommend to this nation?
My recommendation, nation, is The Many Saints of Newark, which is the Sopranos prequel movie.
Oh, okay.
That came out earlier this year.
Cool. So 2 people will probably be watching that.
Yeah.
Or that I meant there's probably only a couple people that have like seen it at this point, because I know that Sopranos was like huge back in the day. So I don't know, like I think people that are big into Sopranos probably watched it, but I don't know how many people.
It came and went.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, it kind of came and went.
It didn't really have. It didn't get great reviews, and it's not a great movie, but it almost feels sometimes like a fan movie, which is not good.
Yeah,
but it's a decent movie, and it's basically just like 2 hours of Sopranos Easter eggs, basically.
Yeah.
But the really cool part is James Gandolfini's son plays Tony Soprano.
Yeah, it's kind of is it
really,
supposed
really
to be
cool.
like a thing where like he is like him becoming Tony Soprano or whatever?
Yes. Yep.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know. Like I
mean, he looks exactly like him. It's very uncanny.
I might like watch it. It's one of those things where like I've seen quite a lot of The Sopranos, and I know. Like, I haven't watched every single episode. Like, my mom watched every single episode, but, like, I've seen enough of it that I know exactly, not exactly, but I know for the most part, like, what happens and stuff like that throughout the show.
Mm-hmm.
So, it'll definitely be one of those things that I'll probably get around to watching it at one point. But, like, have they talked about, like, if they were going to do anything else with, like, the Sopranos, like, with prequel wise or like sequels or anything? Or
I don't think so.
It was just kind of like a one-off deal.
Yeah, it almost seems like an extra episode.
Yeah,
that they made a prequel of it, but it's quality for sure.
Yeah, some of this says like on some of the marketing, it's like The Many Saints of Newark, a Sopranos story. So like it's like the Star Wars stuff where they were just like a Star Wars story.
Yeah.
But yeah. It's got Ray Liotta.
The book of Boba Fett. I'm like,
and
not a book, it's a TV show.
It's a book. There's like all these dudes like Ray Liotta and like what's his face? Shane from The Walking Dead, it looks like in this. I forget what his name is.
Yeah, he plays Tony's father.
Oh, okay. Interesting. course, it wouldn't be a gangster film without Ray Liotta, and he's in it. It's like, dude, this guy is not fucking around, I guess.
Yeah, I know they tried to get him for the series to play a character, and I think that he declined just because it was like so obvious. But
but then he did
got him in the movie, right?
Because he was like, "Fuck it, I need the money." It's like, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that would have been like, I don't understand why he didn't, because I guess like to me, like, it's like, oh yeah, that's
pretty much everyone else from Goodfellas was in Sopranos,
right? Well, it's also like, why not? It's like a who's who of like.
Mm-hmm.
Like you were saying, like an all-star, like, hey, if it's a gangster movie and you were in it, like, you should show up on The Sopranos, because it was a huge fucking deal, dude. When it was on, I mean, even now, it's not like it's a bad show, it's like a great show, but like, it was hot as hell when it was on.
Yeah.
Like, so, hell yeah, dude. I'll have to look into it. I'm like looking at some of these like screenshots of it, and like some of the fucking color grading looks a little weird. I don't know if those are just screenshots of like the.
No, it was they graded the hell out of it. I'm not sure why. Maybe because it was like a period piece, but it's a kind of weird looking movie.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes that works really well for films, and sometimes I just find that like an extra touch that they don't need to do. But it's whatever.
I think it worked for this. They kind of made it feel vintage. Maybe is what they were going for.
Yeah.
But
you never know. Some films I feel like it looks cheap as hell.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, that's just how it is. Speaking of cheap as hell, we're going to be talking about the weird watches this week, which was I picked, which was Warehouse 13, which, yeah. So Warehouse 13 is a show about Pete and Micah, I guess is the characters' names. U.S. Secret Service agents are deployed in South Dakota's Warehouse 13 with a new assignment from an authority above and outside the government. And they essentially like look after like relics and stuff. But like this pilot is like a two-parter, and I said fuck that and just watch the first one, because I got to the end of the first episode. And when it said to be continued, like, this is a two-parter, I said, dude, fuck you. Like, like to have the balls to do that. I don't think I've ever seen a thing where it was, like, literally a two-parter like that. Like, maybe it was longer than other episodes, but, like, for it to be literally, like, a two-parter on its first outing, like, come on, man. Like, I don't know. I don't know.
I got halfway through the first episode,
yeah.
So I didn't even make it as far as you did.
It was better than some of the other stuff we've seen.
It's not that it was bad.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad at all, honestly. But
yeah, there was a lot of like bullshitting around in this. Like the first like 20 minutes of this were like unneeded. They could have cut it out.
Yeah, that's where I was texting you, and I was like, I saw the runtime and then the beginning, and I was like, oh boy, how much? But then it became pretty.
Once they got to the actual like warehouse with like the one guy already, it was like, okay, this is actually like interesting, but they should have like started there.
Yep, totally. I mean, this show is basically, it seems like the X-Files, but if it took place in the warehouse from Indiana Jones.
Yeah, it's essentially like the premise is
a cool idea.
Like Artie was like an interesting character. They had like some stuff that was like set dressing that was cool, like a steampunk keyboard, and like the Tesla like made electric stun gun, like two-way video communication things that were like, I guess, a thing before like phones had that capability that you can do now. And like the dude had access to like all the databases in like the world, which was cool to see. Like he could just go in and like just pull things apart and stuff. It was like before Tony Stark was a thing in Marvel movies, like that was a thing in this movie, or like in this show, which looked really cool. But then like for me, the cons were like there was this unneeded like romance bullcrap. The main lady was like annoying as hell, and I didn't like her. And like it was shot like a soap opera. Like it was just shot very cheaply. Like it didn't look
very
good
bland.
at all.
Yep.
Another con was this was a Syfy original. So I think
how did you even hear about this? I'd never even heard of it before.
So like I heard of this show a long time ago, like when it kind of first came around. And it's also, I used to watch Eureka, like, and like they did a crossover episode with Warehouse 13 with one of the characters. And that's when I was like, well, maybe I should check this out. But I never really wanted to sit down to start it because it's a sci-fi show, like a science fiction show that's probably had like, you know, a shit ton of seasons. So it's one of those things where like, you know, it's going to be like probably like a ton of like stuff to go through, which is good. But if you're watching a show already, you know, you don't really want to start anything. And for me, I was like, you know, I'm just going to pull the trigger for, like, this week. And, like, that's why I kind of like this, because it's something where we can just, like, check something out we might not otherwise really want to see. You know what I mean? Not want to see, but, like, we want to see it, but we, like, are kind of, like, I don't know. For me, it's like I'm forced to watch it for this thing. So, like, you know, like, I probably wouldn't have watched Bruno the Kid or like these other ones like if it wasn't part of the thing. But that's also like what I like about like the podcast in general, is it like I wouldn't see these movies unless you nominate them, or you know I picked them, or like we have like one of the buddy boys pick them. So but yeah, I'd heard about it, and like I'm always down to like find some like cool sci-fi, because like they really don't make sci-fi anymore, like especially, like, just in general. Like, a lot of it's kind of like... There's a couple things that are still like that. Like, the new, what's it called? Lost in Space show. That's, like, I, like, recommended, like, months and months ago. That's on Netflix. Is, like, awesome, because it's just sci-fi. There's no, like, side bullcrap that you don't need and stuff like that in the show. And there's not like pushing some like political agenda like a lot of these shows do, or there's no like crap dialogue. It's like there's just characters dealing with like problems, like scientific problems and like interesting stuff, you know, which is like why I like sci-fi.
Yeah.
But I don't know. This show has something, and I might come back to it, but like it right now I won't, because it's like,
well, there's just too much good stuff out there. Like something
Yeah.
has to be exceptional.
Yeah, that's true. No, I
like-
completely agree.
Make it at this point in my mind.
Like, I kind of want to continue watching it because I really like the one character, but like I don't know if that's enough for
Paul
me to,
Rubinek.
like yeah, to like continue.
I
to
always
watch
think
this.
of him from the Next Generation, where he's the collector.
Yes,
Remember
yeah,
that episode?
yeah, with Data and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he actually,
I
I just started an episode of Stargate where he shows up.
Oh, nice.
So he's just doing sci-fi all over the place, which is awesome, and I like him. It's just one of those things where it's like, and they have like a cool, mysterious premise set up, but it's like they decided to put the two most boring people I've ever seen in a show as like their main characters, and I'm like,
I thought they were fine. Like I didn't hate them like you did, but
I mean, I
thought they were
there was unneeded bullshit. Like there was no reason to have these characters even in the show. Like, like as far as like, why would you start off and make like your one character super unlikable and then make the other one like just like the guy was okay, but like the woman is just like, I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to make her like a complete like business driven like asshole, and then eventually she's gonna like become the character that like loosens up and stuff like that. But it's like she got there because she did great, and he got put there because he's like a fuck up. Like I don't understand like what, I don't know. I just thought it was also one of those things where like I said, maybe it would get better, but it's like for me it's like the pilot needs to like hook you in more than just with like the cool premise like that. It needs to like, the characters also need to be interesting, and it's like the only interesting character was like the Artie character.
Yep.
So, but I guess we're both on the agreement we will not continue to watch this show. So,
yep.
But not that it's like
Like
you
Sorry.
said, not that it's bad. It's just not. I don't know. Like a lot of these is just not interesting. It's like, I mean, I'd rather watch this than like fucking Wheel of Time. But like, I don't know.
I'd rather watch anything.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I'm also like not a huge like, for me when we were watching Wheel of Time, I was just like, God damn it, dude! I just hate fantasy. So I don't know why I picked it then, but whatever. I love fucking torturing myself. Murder me. You ready to go on to the main event here?
Pull the string.
Pull the string.
Pull the string.
I'm like, okay, so this is what this came from. So Glen or Glenda, yeah. So you picked this film this week.
Ed Wood's masterpiece.
His first film, apparently. So Glen or Glenda, 1953. American exploitation film directed, written, and starring Ed Wood, credited in his starring role as Daniel Davis, and featuring Bela Lugosi in his most pointless role yet, or most pointful. And Wood's then girlfriend Dolores Fuller. It was produced by George Weiss, who also made the exploitation film Test Tube Babies that same year. So a psychiatrist tells the stories of a transvestite, Glen or Glenda, and a pseudohermaphrodite, Alan or Anne. Yeah. So, had you seen this film before?
I had. Actually, my dad, I remember, got me the Ed Wood box set back in the day, which is where I first saw like all of Ed Wood's movies, like Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Mm-hmm.
Some other classics, but Glen or Glenda was the one where I was like, holy crap, this movie is not bad. It's actually really good and totally different and unique.
Mm-hmm.
So I always really liked it, and I wanted to watch it again and see what your thoughts were on it.
I was kind of shocked at how well in certain spots they like actually treated like
Totally.
the people in like the 1953 whenever this came out, like the way that
this movie's 70 years old and it's like progressive.
Yeah, it's more progressive than like a lot of the stuff that's going on now with the way that it treats
Definitely.
like people in the film.
Yeah.
So right
And
off,
that's one of the main
Yeah.
things I like so much about it. Like it has a very like good and like kind perspective on life.
yeah, it's like I mean, essentially, this isn't really a movie. It's a like a documentary for the most part. Because when I was watching it, I was like, there's like a lot of. I mean, essentially, almost all of this is like voiced over by like somebody or characters or voicing over or.
So a lot of it's like
Yeah.
those educational videos.
Exactly.
you'd watch
Yeah.
back in the
Yeah.
day.
Right. Yeah. It feels exactly like an educational video. Like educational, like what to do, what not to do, like think of this or don't do that. It's like that kind of definitely right, for sure. And yeah, so it was a definitely an interesting film for sure. I've actually never seen like an Ed Wood film. I've always kind of wanted to, but I've never really like sought it out.
I think a lot of them are pretty rough, and like at the end of his career, I think he started making like pornography, which I've never seen. But this and
You've never
Plan 9
seen
from Outer
pornography?
Space are definitely never, and I never will.
But
Plan 9 from Outer
yeah,
Space is
that's-
also awesome.
That one is
Look
like famous or infamous, definitely.
Right.
Planet 9 from Outer Space. I mean, that one's so
The worst
big. Like,
movie ever made,
yeah,
which is totally not.
I've never seen it, but I can guarantee you it is not.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So like, yeah, I know in that film like they've done like a ton of special features at some points, and like AVGN has done like stuff about it because like he's a huge Ed Wood fan and stuff too. So.
Yeah, and that was also Bela Lugosi's final movie. Like he died while they were making it.
Yeah.
So they like finished up his scenes with his dentist.
Yeah. Well, it's like Ed
Like
Wood.
holding a cape over,
Right.
over his face.
Ed Wood is like, regardless of what you feel about him or his movies, you have to give him credit because he gave like Bela Lugosi all these random roles to do. Like he was a huge fan of him, and it was like,
He basically like helped him out because Bela Lugosi was having hard times.
right. He
at
was
that point.
essentially after like all of his like monster roles. It was like nobody was hiring him, and it was like, well, fuck, what do we do?
Yeah.
But like I really want to, but I haven't seen the Ed Wood film by with like Johnny Depp. Speaking of him,
Dude, it's so good.
yeah.
I hope we can do that one soon. But I think it helps to see this and like probably Plan 9 before seeing that
Yeah,
movie.
because there's a lot of like
So,
behind the scenes, like the whole movie's essentially him making his movies and stuff, and behind the scenes stuff. And they've got Johnny Depp playing him, and then who plays Bela Lugosi in the film?
Martin Landau, and he
Yeah.
actually won the Oscar for that.
Yeah, because like there's
Bill Murray's in it. Like you'd love it.
there's like all this cool stuff I've seen. I've seen like a clip where like what's his face is like cussing Bela Lugosi on the set because it's like too cold or something, and like other stuff like that, and it's just like. But yeah, I mean, I like this film. I wasn't exactly sure what to think, like, because it's like from a movie, especially that old. Like I was like, man, this is gonna be rough. Like, what are they gonna do with like, you know, as far as like the how they're gonna treat people and stuff with like, you know, that like want to dress up as a woman or something, or like
Mhm.
you know that kind of a thing. But like they put like those people into like the light of like you should like treat these people like humans because they fucking are, like, you know, like
Yeah, they literally say that. Like they it tries to
yeah,
educate people about how some people
yeah,
behave and maybe why, and then it says, hey, maybe society should try to understand them as human beings.
right.
It's like at this point there were laws against like even cross dressing
Yeah, there was
in some
like
places.
at the beginning of this film, like this person like has committed suicide because like they were already like arrested like 4 times for like being caught out in public,
Right.
like for wearing women's clothing, and then like they were like, you know, there's no doubt there would be another time, and they wanted to wear in death what they couldn't wear in life, and I was like, dude, this is like, you know, like Ed Wood deserves praise just for like the way that he was like, you know, like
Yeah.
it says at the beginning, like it's just, you know, in the making of this film, which deals with a strange and curious subject, no punches have been taken or been pulled, no easy way out has been taken. Many of the smaller parts are portrayed by persons who actually are in real life the characters they portray on the screen. This is a picture of stark realism, taking no sides but giving you the facts, all the facts as they are today. You are society, judge ye not. So it's essentially like, you know,
Yeah.
so
Good stuff.
yeah.
And I think of how shocking this must have been like to watch back in the day. I'm sure
Yeah.
this was totally something a lot of people didn't know about at all.
Yeah, the trailer, I actually watched the trailer and it's cut completely like shock value because the way that they like cut it was that like the part where the guy says like why are people so shocked about this? Like, and the headline is like woman changes like you know, sex, or like person changes sex or whatever. I think it was like the Alan changes sex to a woman. Like was one of the big headlines in this film. And like in the trailer it was like the headline said woman or like man nabbed off street for being in woman's clothing, and I'm like, it was kind of a switcheroo there. I think that was to get people into the theaters, and then when they saw that it was actually sympathizing, they were like, holy shit. But I didn't think about this till after I watched the film, because like what I've been doing recently is like taking notes but not really kind of going through like the whole film, because I feel like that's kind of been like, what's the point of like recapping the entire film, you know what I mean? I kind of want to like start doing things where I just take notes and like do pros and cons maybe, and just more freeform and stuff. But like right off the bat I actually thought about this, like this doctor is like violating patient doctor confidentiality by telling the story to the police. Like the only thing he quote unquote might have changed was like their names, because he's like, let's call this person Glen, let's call this person Alan. And it's like, but he gives away like everything about their entire life.
It's like the rabbi from Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Let's call this person Elaine.
Yeah, it's like, okay. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think this movie definitely has an agenda, but it's not like preachy.
Right.
It's more about like stating facts and like posing thoughtful questions.
Yeah. Well, it's also like it's I feel like for something like this, like you said, it's like an educational thing, and it's more so like, yeah, like it definitely like one of those things where it definitely makes it opens up the thing of like you shouldn't like judge people just because they're into like if they're one way or another and stuff like that,
Right.
which is nice
And
because it's not preachy in that way. It's more so like just be like be educated and be like logical about things. Like,
and on top of that, it's like you may not fully understand something, but don't like fear it. Try to understand, and
yeah,
that would be best for everyone. Like, so the whole movie basically, or the big part of the story is Glen is like at some point needs to tell his fiance about the fact that he likes to dress as a woman, etc.
right,
But he's scared to do it because he's not sure how she'll react. And when he finally does, like her reaction is like so touching. It almost made me tear up because she's like, I don't fully understand this, but maybe together we can work it out.
Yeah.
And like, if everyone took that stance when they were faced with something, they didn't understand, like the world would be a perfect place.
Right. Yeah, I was like,
I love that.
Yeah, I was like literally like about to cry because I was just like, dude, this is like, yeah. Because at first she like asked him like, what if he never gets over wearing women's clothing? And the doctor's like, would it really matter to you? And she's like,
Yeah.
actually, no, I wouldn't. Like, I'll whatever, I'll do anything to make him happy. And I was just like,
Yeah,
dude. And then they just like run to the car and like are like happy. It's like, this is like, who gives a shit? Like, this is how it should be. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. It was a feel good thing for sure to like see, because I was afraid like it was gonna be like he was gonna be, well, let me tell you what actually happened. She broke up with him and fucking his life was ruined.
yeah.
But it was like the way it should be, where she was just like, and I don't really care honestly what other people think. Like, I love him and he loves me, so who gives a shit?
So what'd you think of Ed Wood in this movie?
I thought he was awesome. I thought he was, completely, fine. It was definitely not like for him to have written this, directed in it, and acted in it. Like, I mean, he didn't have like a lot of like he kind of did like the Kevin Smith Silent Bob thing, where like, yeah, he had stuff where he said stuff, but it wasn't like the whole film wasn't him like delivering these huge monologues. It was like a lot of it was left up to like, but it's like it was like that where it was like, I've seen a lot of people that have that role and that's their whole thing is to be an actor, and it's way worse than this. Like, he was good. Like I felt like he did a lot of good acting too when he wasn't like speaking, like when he did like the whole reactions and stuff. It was
and he usually doesn't act in his movies,
yeah.
So I think it makes it more personal.
Right, yeah, I felt like this was very personal for him. So I was like yeah, I thought he was good in it. Like, I mean, obviously I wasn't like, I don't know, for me, like, a lot of people will condemn an actor or be like, this is the greatest actor of all time or this is the worst actor of all time, but for me it's more like shades of gray with actors. Like, a lot of times I feel like you have to judge an actor based on like what they're given to work with. And it's also like when I see someone in something, if like their character is unlikable, a lot of times, you have to give them props if you don't like the character because they're doing a good job portraying that character as like an unlikable character. But like, a lot of people like to condemn like, oh, this person's a horrible actor and stuff. And there are people that, they'll deliver their lines like very stiffly, like if it's an athlete maybe or something like that. But like, you're not expecting him to be like fucking, what's his name, like Willem Dafoe over here or something, like somebody that's literally do this their whole life. So like, I don't know. I think I'm a lot more lax when it comes to people that act and stuff. But it's also like, having said that, in no way do I feel like he did, a bad job. It's very, it was just as good as everybody else in this film, I felt like.
Yeah. I agree.
Like, I don't know. But, So this is like the epitome of giving somebody something, like giving somebody a job in this film. Bela Lugosi, I have to say.
Yeah.
Like,
So we've talked about kind of the main aspects of this movie, like this more straightforward part, but there's another part of this movie that is like completely it becomes totally insane, like crazy, surreal.
It's like not even the same
nonsense.
movie. It's like, what the hell? This is like,
and I think for me that's what takes it to like the level of this is a masterpiece. Like,
I actually fast forwarded through a lot of that because I thought it was
I thought you might have a problem.
I watched it for a while, but I was like, how long is this gonna go on for? It was just padding. I was like, but I didn't hate it. I just was kind of like, I was way more invested in the actual straight up stories of Glen and like, you know, what was gonna happen with that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, but I can see, like, I think they were trying to do something with that, like to make it like the person is tortured and stuff like that. So. Because this is before they, like, told, you know what I mean, like, their fiance.
Mm-hmm.
But he, like, they go full, like, Dracula with Bela Lugosi here, because he's, like, surrounded by skeletons and other, like, curios. And he's, like, reading from, like, a book. And,
who do you think he is? Like,
who do you think he is?
Who do you think he is? Well, it's almost they make him like God because he's playing with like all these test tubes and stuff, and then he's like, life. Like, did he just create life?
Yeah, there's like a thing where he talks about like like a new day, and then he says like a baby cries, and he says a life is born, like a new life is born, and then he's like, then they cut to like the first thing you see in this film with the person that like committed suicide, and he's like, a life has ended. And it's like, that's how it kind of starts. And it's like, I felt he was like a mad scientist or God, like you said, like playing, that kind of a thing, because there are parts where like people will show up and then he'll like swat them away and like someone else will come in their place, like they're changing or something, or like so it's definitely like more out there with like that stuff, but it was like interesting, like a lot of the stuff that kind of like comes into this film with him is like obviously like the huge line of like pull the string kind of thing, but like some of it's also a little like weird nonsense. I don't really know, like the whole beware the big green dragon that sits on your doorstep, eats little boys, puppy dog tails, big fat snails. Beware. Take care. Beware. And they say that like multiple times in this, and there's a part where like they have a Satan character that's like not moving his lips, but he's like saying it through like his mind or something.
Dude, that guy creeped me out so much.
Very
creepy.
But then, like, earlier in the film, he cracks me the hell up because, like, they go to the altar and he, like, peeks in the frame and he's like, Tee! He's like, huh? So, I kind of... Go ahead.
It's just weird stuff. Like, there's a weird strip tease happening, and then there's, like, some bondage stuff happening, and it's just like...
Bela Lugosi's like, they keep cutting back and he's watching all of this and he really doesn't seem to give a shit.
The editing is pretty funny.
But like he's watching like a shirtless dude whip a lady on a couch. There's like a montage of ladies messing around, like, and then like kind of stripping to a degree. Some lady like rips her entire like dress off, and then a lady gets tied up on a couch, and another lady is like untying another lady, and then like Bela Lugosi's just continue to look on, like, what the hell is going on with a lady combing her hair. It's just kind of like a little chunk of the movie was kind of taken up by this part that like was a little, I don't really know. I don't know if this was like used to pad the film or like what happened here, because it's like, because there was other parts where like was very surreal with like the character of Glen, like he like tells his like fiance and then everybody points at him and like laughs, and then like put him in a corner, and then he like transforms into like Glenda, like, and then
Yeah, I
he,
thought
like,
that was awesome. I thought that was really cool.
and then like the music is all like nice, like he's been freed and stuff, which is like legit. It was like that's the kind of like weird stuff I'm down with, but like not that I was like, you know, this ruined the movie. It was just kind of like I was like sitting here like what's going on right now, like because it went on for quite a long time.
Jones gonna keep cracking that
yeah,
whip?
he's like whipping the shit out of this lady, and she's like, "Wee!" But there's like no, they're not saying anything. They're just being whipped, and it's like okay. There was like a weird part where like in the very beginning of the film when the police officer goes to, like that was at the suicide goes to these psychiatrists to like talk to him about like this problem, like he calls like a person a 4-time loser. That was like I guess it was the person that committed suicide that was
4-time loser.
Yeah, and I was like Jesus. That's when I was like, how's this gonna go? But like the psychiatrist like essentially like straightens him out because he starts to like tell him these stories, and then the guy's like, you know, kind of seeing the other side of the shoe and stuff and being like, okay, yeah. There's a lot of like grandiose language in this film regardless by both this guy and Bela Lugosi, like when he starts talking about it and he's like, well, tell me the story, and he's like, only the infinity of the depths of a man's mind can really tell the story. And I'm like,
that's like classic Ed Wood writing.
Yeah,
you'll see that in like a lot of his movies, like very, very grandiose.
That's awesome. There's also a part where like the sister walks in on like I guess one of the first times Glen has been caught in like her clothes, and he just like drops his book, and it's like oops, and she's like just like stands there. It's very like not like shocked, almost just kind of like I have to act shocked, which I thought was kind of like, it wasn't like, I guess it wasn't funny for the situation, but it was kind of funny the way that like he held the book and she comes in, he's like, oh yeah, I gotta like drop this book, so he just like drops it. I was like, eh. But like it's essentially she was like at work and was like telling her like girlfriend at work like, what am I supposed to do if I bring my boyfriend around, like, and show my boyfriend that this is my like brother and he dresses up in my clothes, and it's like, damn, dude, like, yeah, they don't they're real about this. They don't like pull any punches. They don't like come up with any bullshit. They like, this is like this is real like stuff. They're like the kind of stuff like Glen and all the other Glens the world face, and it's like, Jesus, dude, like, yeah, so like, but yeah, there was also like a really touching part where like he tells his fiance about his other persona, Glenda, and after everything is said, she's kind of like doesn't know what to think at first, and she's kind of like, you know what I mean? You're not really sure what she's gonna do, but then like she stands up and she like takes off her like sweater and she was like, you know, gives it to him essentially.
Yeah, that's like the iconic moment I think from this movie.
I was like, holy shit, dude! Like that was the first time I was just like really emotional about it. And then of course the other part at the end where they like run out of the psychiatrist place or whatever. So there's like,
so
oh, go ahead, sir.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, bud.
I was gonna like kind of have a kind of final thoughts on Ed Wood, but I don't know if you made it through all your notes yet.
I've got a couple more notes here. I was gonna say like they talk about this second story, which really doesn't take up a lot of like the story. Like this is mainly a story about like Glen, but like they do have a second story they tell about like another character named Alan that like grew up and like his mother hated guys because his like essentially her like dad like hated, like essentially her dad was like a crap guy to her, and so like he like was like, you know, and the dad didn't care if he had a daughter or like a son, so essentially he just started like turning into like a woman and like, or like, you know, doing stuff to like make himself like more feminine and stuff, and then he like essentially went to World War II footage and then like, or he went to World War II, and they had like a lot of World War II footage in it, and then he came back, and like, essentially that's the big article in this is, like, the sex change thing, and like at one point they say he went through the tortures of the damned, and I was like, Jesus, it's like, I don't know about that, but
the tortures of the damned.
yeah, I was like,
Dude,
what?
strong stuff.
Yeah,
man.
I don't know about that, but okay. But like the person that they like legit have, that's like, I'm pretty sure like is the real person that like had the sex change or whatever, like, looks happy as hell once they're like an actual like, you know, like a woman, and well, not an actual, you know what I mean, like, but like, another note I had is that like people were smoking everywhere and anywhere in this film, and yeah, that's 53, so, you know, people were just like showing up everywhere. I think it's just so shocking to see now because like you can't smoke inside.
Let's hotbox this doctor's office.
Yeah, but like you can't smoke inside, and most people don't smoke in their own homes anymore. So it's like it's become one of those things where like, you know, thankfully that's kind of a thing that's not happening anymore, just for people that don't smoke. But like back then it wasn't just that like everybody smoked, like, so it wasn't like a huge deal. I guess now it's kind of one of those things where you see it and you're like, wow. But I guess another thing is like, yeah, since the two stories, like next to no time was spent on like the sex change for Alan. I feel like that was just kind of a thing that they not like put in at the last minute. Obviously I think that was part of the whole plan, was to like have that be part of it. I think it was more so like the Glen thing seemed like the more maybe made up thing for like Ed Wood to play, and then like the Alan one was like an actual thing, and not like the other thing never happened obviously, but like it was more story driven, whereas like the Alan one was straight up like, hey, this is what happened point for point, like, and this is the actual person. So yeah, what were your last thoughts for Ed Wood? Sorry.
I mean, after watching this movie the first time and now, I'm like, man, it's a shame that Ed Wood is like known to be like the worst director of all time, because I mean, say what you want about his other movies, but I think this is an awesome movie.
Yeah,
like, even if the rest of them were failures, at least he made this, which is like,
yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised.
Should be, like, required viewing.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised, honestly, that like that is the case, because with this film I was kind of shocked, because I thought that like this was going to be one of those films that like, you know, oh, this is the worst director, so this is going to be like offensive as fuck, like as far as like I'll watch this film and be like, they're going to be like, oh, this person wears women's clothing, what a sick fucker, you know, like these people need to be condemned. And I was like, oh my god, this is so out of touch. But it was like, holy shit, dude, this is the opposite. This is like you said, this should be required viewing, because this is like something that like, it's a message that everybody should at least like be introduced to when they're like growing up. You know? Yeah,
and also Ed Wood, like, he basically was Glen / Glenda in real life. Like he, you know, I think that he told tall tales, but he did enlist after Pearl Harbor and was like participated in World War II, and he apparently said that he was wearing like women's underwear, like, on the battlefield and stuff. So like, you can just tell it
seems a little too personal, like, to not be, like you were saying, like something that actually like he went through, or at least has some sort of like knowledge of. Especially,
but I do think the Tim Burton movie like kind of redeemed him in the public eye. So definitely worth watching that as well.
Yeah, it's sad because like he made this, which was like so progressive, but like the other like films that were somewhat sci-fi and a little like, you know, just their whole like nature like made it so it was like, you know, but he made the films he wanted to make, so
yeah, it's
better than the committee films we have today of like 20 people that
are
writers. I think we've always said that, and I've definitely said like I'd rather have like one person have their vision, than regardless of what it is, than to like you know, like regardless, I have to at least praise like Kevin Smith, like, you know, for Tusk, for at least doing what he wanted to do, rather than like, you know, a committee movie like Kong versus Godzilla, where it could have been awesome,
Cop out.
but it was just like, yeah, or that too, I guess, where it was just like, well, you know, it would have been nice if this wasn't written by like 20 different people, but yeah, this was back when like movies were written, directed by like one person. Like same thing with like, you know, George Lucas, you know, John Carpenter, George Romero, like freaking and there's so many directors out there. The guy that did like Pink Flamingo, like John Waters, like just people that have their own vision, regardless of what it is. It should be celebrated, because there are too many movies that are made by like committee these days, which it sucks, but it's what it is. Like, I don't know. But anyway, enough about that. Yeah, like it definitely, like, this film makes me want to see like more Ed Wood movies.
Cool, man. That's awesome.
It was definitely, I feel like, a good choice just to have somebody that never seen one like start on this, because it was like definitely you know, enlightening for, you know, just in general, and it was like just like nice to like see a more fair look at things and stuff with this subject. Like you said, it should be required viewing. So if you haven't seen this film,
I'm glad you liked it.
watch it. Yeah. Trying to think what I would give this. I don't know, like, what would you give?
It's a 9.95 for me. I think this movie's amazing, classic. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know if I could give it anything less than that either, honestly. There are parts that I like the one part, like, I fast forwarded, but it wasn't because I was like, I thought it was unneeded. I thought it was just like, I was so invested in the actual story of like Glen that I wanted to like see more of that. So I was kind of like, but like, if I watched it again, I might not fast forward through some of it. Like, I only fast forwarded through like the last little bit because there were so many different parts. I was like, wait a minute, how many of these are there? But like the film itself is, I don't know. I don't know if I can say enough good things about this film, honestly. Like, it's just, like you said, if you haven't seen this film, fucking watch this film. Like, it's great.
Yeah.
So,
if you're a fan of movies, I think you'll like it, because you've never seen anything quite like it.
Yeah, for sure. It's it gives me the good, like, you know, old school like film feels and stuff, and just in general, it gives me like a good. It just makes me feel better in general about like the human race, especially in the year 2021 with all the stuff that's been going on and stuff. That, like, you know, watching this film makes me feel like there is people out there that give a shit. So
that's great.
Great film. Do you have anything else to say about this film? Or
I think we nailed it.
I agree, man. It was a fucking awesome. So next week, I guess we're going to be doing the latest entry in the Jimmy Bond trilogy. Trilogy. It's like way more than that. What are they up to now? Do you know off the top of your head? Like, what?
25.
25. So 25, stay alive. This is the last film starring Daniel Craig, and it returns one last time as James Bond, starring alongside Oscar winner Rami Malek in No Time to Die. So yeah, we'll be doing No Time to Die. We're finally getting around to that. I think we both kind of just wanted to wait till it came out on like Blu-ray or whatever, because like it's like with a movie like this,
3 hours long.
Yeah, with the runtime. All James Bond movies have always been a fucking huge affair, and it's like
this is the longest yet.
Yeah, so like for me,
new record.
Yeah, oh my god, this will be like a 2-nighter for me probably. This is like fucking like Lord of the Rings over here. They're taking the Bond to Isengard. So, yeah, I'm pretty pumped, honestly, because it's not only, like, the last Daniel Craig one. Not that I'm like, yeah, he's fucking out! But, like, they'll be doing something probably big with this, hopefully. But it's also, like, I don't know, Bond's always been, like, a thing we both like, and it's always a huge event. So, Also, I'm
Yeah,
happy.
this is the first one I haven't seen in theaters since Goldeneye.
Damn,
Broke the streak.
I'm just glad I get to see it at home and don't have to like
Yeah, me too.
piss my pants. Um, dude, but do you pick the next weird watches? Do you already know what it's gonna be?
Yeah. The next one will be Spencer for Hire.
Ooh, Spencer for Hire.
Which is, I guess, a murder mystery show or a mystery show.
I like
starring
this
Robert
already.
Urich and Avery Brooks as Hawk.
Dude,
I know nothing about it other than Avery Brooks is in it.
Dude,
so
this is gonna be fucking awesome. Avery Brooks, Captain Benjamin Sisko, on my personal favorite Star Trek, Deep Space Nine. I cannot wait. This is gonna be. I've actually heard about this because this is like this what everybody knew him from.
Yeah, apparently it was one of his biggest things before Star Trek. So
it ran from 85 to 88. So hopefully this will be easier to find to watch than fucking Manimal.
Are you looking at the cover on IMDb?
Where it's like a blood splot.
First season. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like those sunglasses are probably the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. Also, for some reason at first I thought that like when you said Spencer for Hire, my mind went to like Spencer Rice. So I was like, what?
Dude.
He's like, here we are at the Celebrity Deli. Dude, that would be a legit show if it was
Here.
They redid this show, but with Spencer, Nolan Rice, and Kenny Hotz, and Spencer did a bunch of celebrity impressions and like was in costume to try to fool people as a police officer.
I don't know. That would be awesome.
It would be funny for like maybe one episode, but like it would be horrible after that. It's like the theory. It'd be like the thing for Manimal. It'd be like, dude, this is like gonna be great, and then it's just like, wait a minute, this dude just transformed into a puma like 20 times in 5 minutes, like for no reason. So, dude, awesome.
Transformed into a shark and ate a guy.
Yeah, it's like cool. He's a fucking cannibal. So, dude, I'm pretty pumped because, yeah, that's No Time to Die for fucking 4 hours. And then Spencer for Hire. I wonder how long the first episode is. It's either going to be...
It's 90 minutes. Sorry. I just looked that up.
That's okay. It's Avery Brooks. I don't give a shit. I'll watch 100 minutes. Or wait, that's only 10 more minutes than 90.
But no more.
I meant 100 hours.
100 hours.
I'm like, I'll watch 100 minutes, not just 90. It's like, huh? Who's this other guy? He looks like fucking Pierce Brosnan.
Robert
kinda.
Urich. He's been in a lot of stuff.
Nice. Why did the other seasons just have him on the cover? Did Avery Brooks like leave at some point?
I don't know.
Anyway,
no, it says he's in every episode.
Huh? Okay. Well. Okay. Well, that's weird that he's not. Is he the main guy? Is he Spencer?
We'll have to find out. I know nothing about it, dude.
Tell me the whole fucking plot before next week. Just text it to me each day, a new line of dialogue. Okay, cool. Well, anything else to say for this episode?
Pull the string.
Pull the string. He's like, do it now, pull it. I'm like, huh? Cool. Well, see you next week, bro.
See you next time.
Bye.